I was standing outside the bar at 1:30 a.m., drunk enough to be honest, but sober enough to know I needed to get home safely, when my Uber pulled up. Black sedan, license plate matched, driver photo showed a woman with dark hair and a confident smile. I got in the back seat, gave her my address, and settled in for what I assumed would be a quiet 20-minute ride. Instead, she looked at me in the rearview mirror and said, "Rough night?" And somehow that simple question turned into the best conversation I'd had in months. We talked about everything: bad dates, good music, why 2 a.m. pizza tastes better than any other pizza, whether soulmates are real or just convenient timing. When we pulled up to my building 40 minutes later because she'd taken the scenic route, she turned around in her seat and said, "I know this is against policy, but can I have your number?" I gave it to her, my hand shaking slightly. Then I watched her cancel the ride in the app, refund my payment, and text me immediately. "Now I'm not your driver anymore. Want to get actual 2 a.m. pizza with me?" Before we dive into how my Uber driver became my girlfriend by technically breaking multiple company policies, drop a comment telling me what city you're watching from, and please subscribe to help the channel grow. This story is about chance encounters, broken rules, and taking risks on people who feel like they were meant to find you. My name is Alex Chen, I'm 26, and I'd spent the last 6 months downloading and immediately deleting every dating app known to humanity. Tinder, Hinge, Her, Lex, none of them worked. Every date felt like a job interview where both candidates were lying on their resumes. I was exhausted, lonely, and convinced that maybe I was just meant to be single forever. That Friday night, my friend Casey had dragged me to a lesbian bar downtown for her birthday. I'd agreed reluctantly, put on my best outfit, and spent 3 hours making small talk with strangers, while Casey got progressively drunker and happier. Around 1 a.m., she found someone to go home with, which left me alone at the bar nursing my third drink and feeling sorry for myself. "You look like you're having a terrible time," the bartender said. "That obvious?" "You've been staring at your phone for 20 minutes. Either you're waiting for a very important text or avoiding everyone here." "Both," I admitted. "I'm not great at this. The whole scene thing?" "The scene thing," she repeated, amused. "That's one way to put it. I mean meeting people, flirting, all of it. I'm better one-on-one, but you can't exactly have deep conversations in a place where the music is this loud." "So why are you here?" "Friend's birthday. I'm a good friend." "And now your friend abandoned you for a hookup and you're stuck." "Basically." She smiled sympathetically. "Well, for what it's worth, someone that's self-aware and honest is probably doing better than they think." I left shortly after, called an Uber, and waited outside in the cool night air. My ride showed up 8 minutes later, a clean black Honda Accord with the license plate the app had shown me. The driver photo was a woman, maybe early 30s, with dark wavy hair and this smile that looked genuine even in a tiny thumbnail photo. I opened the back door and slid in. "Hi, I'm Alex." "Daniela," she said, glancing at me in the rearview mirror. Her voice was warm, slightly raspy. "Heading to Capitol Hill?" "Yeah, thanks for picking up this late." "Late night drives are the best. Less traffic, more interesting passengers." She pulled away from the curb smoothly. "So, rough night?" I laughed despite myself. "How'd you guess?" "You're leaving a bar alone at 1:30 on a Friday, you look tired, and you sighed when you got in the car. Either rough night or rough life. Little bit of both. Want to talk about it? Or do you prefer silent rides?" Usually I preferred silent rides. I was the person who put in headphones immediately, avoided eye contact, gave one-word answers to any attempts at conversation. But something about Daniela's voice, or the fact that I'd never see her again after this ride, made me answer honestly. "I went out with my friend to a bar. She ditched me for a girl she met. I spent the night feeling like an alien observing human mating rituals. And now I'm going home alone to watch Netflix and contemplate whether I'm destined to die alone surrounded by cats." "Do you even have cats?" "No, but I'd get them for the aesthetic." She laughed, and it was this bright, genuine sound that made me smile. "Okay, so your friend abandoned you. Rude but understandable if she met someone good. You felt out of place at the bar, also relatable. And you're catastrophizing about dying alone. Classic. You're very judgmental for an Uber driver." I prefer perceptive. She glanced at me in the mirror again. Can I offer some unsolicited advice? Sure, why not? Stop trying so hard. You're putting pressure on every interaction to be the one that changes your life. That's exhausting, and it makes you miss the good small moments. I blinked. That's actually really insightful. I have a lot of thinking time while driving. We fell into easy conversation after that. She asked about my job. I worked in graphic design, and told me she drove Uber part-time while finishing her master's in social work. We talked about why late-night pizza tasted better than any other pizza. Her theory, lowered inhibitions make everything taste better. My theory, hunger and nostalgia. She told me about the weirdest passengers she'd had. I told her about my most disastrous first date. Wait, she brought her ex to coffee? Daniela said, incredulous. She said they were working on being friends and wanted me to meet her, like it was a group interview for the position of new girlfriend. That's insane. I left after 10 minutes. Smart move. Somewhere along the way, I realized we'd been driving for longer than 20 minutes. I checked the app. We'd passed my building 15 minutes ago. Daniela? Yeah? You missed my building. She was quiet for a second. I know. I took the scenic route. Hope that's okay. The scenic route at 2 a.m.? The city's pretty at night, and you seemed like you needed more time before going home to your hypothetical future cats. I should have been annoyed. I should have reported her for deliberately extending the ride. Instead, I found myself smiling. You're terrible at your job. Or excellent at reading people. She turned onto my street finally and pulled up in front of my building. Then she did something unexpected. She put the car in park and turned around in her seat to look at me directly. Okay, I'm about to do something that's definitely against Uber policy, she said. But I don't want this to end with me just dropping you off and never seeing you again. Can I have your number? My heart stopped. What? Your number. I'd like to text you. Maybe see you again when I'm not your driver and you're not my passenger. Is that allowed? Absolutely not. I could get in trouble, but I'm willing to risk it if you are. I stared at her. She had dark eyes, full lips, and this earnest expression that made it impossible to say no, even if I'd wanted to, which I didn't. Okay, I said, pulling out my phone with shaking hands. Here. She typed her number into my phone, then sent herself a text so she'd have mine. Then she opened her driver app, and I watched her cancel the ride. What are you doing? Canceling and issuing you a refund. You're not my passenger anymore, so this isn't breaking any rules. She grinned. Want to get actual 2 a.m. pizza with me? Right now? Unless you're in a rush to get home to your empty apartment? I thought about going inside, changing into pajamas, lying in bed scrolling through my phone feeling lonely. Then I looked at Daniela, this stranger who'd somehow made me feel more seen in 40 minutes than anyone had in months. Pizza sounds perfect. We went to a 24-hour pizza place 3 blocks away that served slices the size of your head and had fluorescent lighting that should have been unflattering but somehow just felt honest. Daniela ordered pepperoni, I got margarita, and we sat in a corner booth talking like we'd known each other for years. So, I said, do you do this often? Cancel rides to hang out with passengers? Never. You're the first. What made me special? Honestly, when you got in the car, you looked so tired and sad, but you still said thank you and asked how my night was going. Most people don't do that. They treat drivers like NPCs in their life's video game. You treated me like a person. You are a person. See, that's what I mean. She took a bite of pizza. Plus, you're really cute, and the way you talked about dating like it was a sociological experiment made me laugh. I do overthink everything. I noticed. It's kind of endearing. We stayed at that pizza place until 4 a.m. when the owner gently informed us he needed to close for cleaning. Daniela walked me back to my building, hands in her jacket pockets, looking nervous for the first time all night. I had fun, she said. Me too. Best Uber ride I've ever had. I'm glad I canceled it. Me too. I hesitated. So, what happens now? Now I go home, Probably don't sleep because I'm too wired from spending 4 hours with you and wait a socially acceptable amount of time before texting you. What's socially acceptable? 12 hours? 24? How about immediately? She grinned. I was hoping you'd say that. I went upstairs, changed into pajamas, and checked my phone. There was already a text from her. Made it home. Still thinking about how you argued that pineapple on pizza is valid because flavor is subjective. Controversial, but I respect it. Want to get coffee this week? During daylight hours this time? I replied immediately. Yes, but fair warning, I'm even more awkward during daylight hours. I'll risk it. Wednesday at 2? Perfect. Our first official date was at a coffee shop near the university where she was studying. She showed up early, had already ordered my drink based on what I'd mentioned liking in the car, and looked unfairly attractive in jeans and a leather jacket. You remembered my coffee order, I said, sitting down. I remember everything you said. Comes with the job. Good listening skills. That's a useful skill for a social worker. And for someone trying to impress a girl I met under ethically questionable circumstances. I laughed. Are you worried you're going to get in trouble? A little, but mostly I'm worried you're going to realize I'm less charming in daylight and without the mystique of being a mysterious Uber driver. You're doing fine so far. We talked for 3 hours. About her grad program and why she decided to become a social worker after years in corporate marketing. About my design work and how I was trying to build a freelance business. About our families, our friends, our terrible exes and lessons learned. She told me she'd been single for a year after a relationship that had ended badly, that she'd deleted all her dating apps because they felt too transactional. So we both hate apps, I said. And we both happen to be in the right place at the right time. Or you happen to need a ride and I happen to be driving. Is that just luck? Maybe, or maybe the universe occasionally does its job. We started seeing each other regularly. Coffee dates turned into dinner dates, turned into walks around the city, turned into me spending weekends at her apartment. She'd drive for Uber on Friday and Saturday nights, and I'd stay up waiting for her to finish, and she'd come home with stories about drunk college kids and philosophical conversations with strangers. You're good at that, I said one night when she came home at 2 a.m. and found me on her couch, half asleep. Making people feel seen. It's what I'm training for. Might as well practice. I'm glad you practiced on me. She sat down, pulled me against her. Me too. Even if it meant risking getting deactivated from the app. Did you ever tell Uber what happened? God, no. I just stopped driving as much once we started dating. Didn't want to risk canceling rides on other cute girls and catching feelings. That's a very specific risk. You ruined me. Now I have standards. 3 months in, Daniela finished her master's program and got a job at a youth center doing outreach work. She quit Uber entirely, which she said was bittersweet. I met you because of that job, she said. Feels weird to leave it behind. You're not leaving it behind. You're just moving forward and taking me with you, hopefully. Obviously. You think I'd let you go after all the effort I put into winning you over? You canceled one ride. And bought you pizza at 2 a.m. And memorized your coffee order. And spent 3 months proving I'm girlfriend material. You're definitely girlfriend material. Is that your way of making this official? Daniela Rivera, will you be my girlfriend? She kissed me. I thought you'd never ask. 6 months later, we moved in together. A year after that, we adopted 2 cats. Not because I was dying alone, but because Daniela had always wanted them and I was powerless against her puppy dog eyes when we visited the shelter. You know what's funny? I said one night, lying in bed with her, both cats curled up at our feet. What? I spent 6 months on dating apps trying to force a connection, and then I met you completely by accident while trying to go home and give up. That's how it works sometimes. You stop looking and suddenly you find it. Do you ever think about what would have happened if you hadn't picked up my ride that night? All the time. And then I'm glad I did, even though you broke the rules. Especially because I broke the rules, some things are worth the risk. My Uber driver canceled the ride after getting my number, and then she texted asking if I wanted 2 a.m. pizza. That decision, hers to ask, mine to say yes, changed everything. Because sometimes the person you're meant to meet isn't on a dating app or at a bar or anywhere you're actively looking. Sometimes they're just driving you home at 1:30 a.m., asking if you had a rough night, and seeing something in you that makes them willing to risk their job just to keep talking. I still order Ubers regularly. None of them have ever taken the scenic route. None of them have asked for my number. And I'm grateful for that, because I already found the only driver I needed. She's at home with me and the cats now, no longer picking up strangers at 2 a.m., no longer breaking company policy for a chance at connection. But sometimes when we're driving somewhere together, she'll take the long way home. And I'll smile and say nothing, because I understand. The scenic route is always better when you're with someone worth taking your time for.